There you go. I think we can start now. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to greet the members of the media who have joined the virtual press conference. Am I audible? Can everyone hear me? Let me just
yes, we can hear you.
Let me just make sure that I'm audible. All right, brilliant. No, welcome, colleagues, and especially members of the media who have joined the call this afternoon, the virtual press conference this afternoon. I'd also like to take the opportunity to welcome both the members of the board as well as the members' council who are also joining the press conference virtually. I think maybe let me take the opportunity to introduce our panel. Who will be taking the various questions from members of the media this afternoon. On the panel, we have our acting Chief Executive Officer, who's Puletsi Maseki. We've got the Director of Cricket, who's Graeme Smith. We also have the Proteas captain, white ball captain, who's Temba Bavuma, as well as the convener of selectors, who's Victor Mpitsang. I think what we'll do is we won't waste too much time. I think we'll go straight into it. Maybe before we do that, let's just start with some housekeeping matters. So what we'll do is we'll kindly just request everyone to make sure that their cell phone is on either silent or on vibrate, so that we minimize any disturbances. But also we do request that you kindly just keep your videos off, so that we also maintain maximum optimum connectivity. I think with that we'll probably just then go straight to it. Look, the purpose of this press conference, having only just launched the very bumper season ahead, the purpose of this press conference is really to allow members of the media, or give members of the media a chance to engage CSA on various issues as well, especially issues that are coming out of the launch that we've just had. So without wasting any time, we'll go straight to it. On the system, on the screen, you guys will see we've got a chat panel. So we just kindly request you to make an indication of your interest to ask a question. I will then ensure that you get an opportunity to ask a question. Maybe before we do that, I see there's a hand from Vuyo. Vuyo, is there a question that you'd like to ask, a comment that you'd like to make before we begin?
Thank you so much. It's actually a question. I'm sorry I didn't start with the chat part. I just raised up my hand. But I know we already had some reflection with Crystal, but just for radio purposes as well, I wanted to get reflection from both Temba and Victor, and starting maybe with Victor in terms of what took to come up with the selection. What was the criteria? And from Temba's side, is just when he's looking at the squad from now, what does he feel is the team strength?
All right.
This is Vuyo from Power 987.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vuyo. I think we'll get straight to that. I have noted the rest of the hands. Maybe let's start with that. Maybe starting with you, Temba. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Vuyo. Yeah, looking at the squad, I think in terms of our strengths, I think we've given ourselves the best opportunity. In terms of the resources, we've selected enough spinners. We've got more all-rounders than normal. You know, guys who we feel that can exploit those lower conditions in Dubai. I think our strength, as I've always said, comes in us playing as a team. We rely heavily on that. We rely heavily on that, assessing and adjusting to what the conditions call upon us, and making sure we're making the right decisions at the right time.
Thank you, Temba. Victor, maybe a comment from you, a soundbite for Power.
Yeah, hi, Vuyo. Look, I mean, I think the criteria was quite not as simple. I think first of all, we needed to take into consideration that you know, IPL was going to be played there. It is the subcontinent, so we had to look at how we would play in those conditions, and we needed to make sure that you know, we have resources playing in those conditions. I know Temba has just mentioned the amount of all-rounders that are in that squad. But also with the help of our analysts, we needed to make sure that we cover all our bases, you know. So it also helped that we also played in West Indies. And for the first time after, you know, of some challenging times in the season, you know, we had everybody available to select from when we went to West Indies. So that also helped, especially with the conditions that we were faced.
Brilliant, and thank you very much. Guys, thank you very much. I think we'll go straight into the Q&A. I've noted a few questions already. What we will do is we'll have the first round of questions. Then the second round will be the follow-ups. If there are any follow-ups, then we will close immediately after that. I'd like to start with John Harry. John Harry, are you there? Would you like to?
Yes, thanks.
Question? Go ahead, sir.
Great. A question for Graeme Smith. The renewed importance, yes or no, of club cricket in the domestic structure, given that there's no more 3-day semi-professional cricket. Is the pipeline, so to speak, now going to look like club cricket, academy, high performance, and then provincial graduation, more or less?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm glad you picked up on that. Is obviously, you know, we want to strengthen club cricket. The pipeline is of importance to us. I guess from grassroots right up, we've really focused on strengthening high performance and fine-tuning it from particular under 19 up to creating clear pathways. We also want to create an opportunity for our cricketers to move up and down. You know, domestic players, when they're not playing in Division 1 or 2, to be able to play club cricket and to interact through the different levels, as well as creating a clear pathway through the system for our cricketers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Graeme. We'll go over to you, Tinus.
Thanks. Can I ask both my questions now or only the one?
You can go ahead. Go ahead. You can fire both questions.
Thanks. How's it, Victor? I just want to know, firstly, what was the thinking behind selecting George Linde? Not selecting George Linde, instead going with someone like Bjorn Fortuin. It seemed like George was the #1 second spinner, spinning all-rounder all season. And then the second question is, did you as convener of selectors ever have personal communications with the so-called free agents, guys like Faf and Imran Tahir and Chris Morris? Thanks.
Look, I mean, Tinus, when it comes to George, you know, he's one of the all-rounders. You know, he has done well with the ball. I agree with you there, but we've gone with the seeming all-rounders. Obviously, you do question, you know, is it between him or Bjorn Fortuin? I think, you know, when we go with a left-arm spinner, we probably felt that Bjorn Fortuin, George has probably had the upper hand because he's the all-rounder. You know, that's one reason. When it comes to the free agents, I have spoken to some of the free agents. There has been a lot of communication with Faf and the coach and the DOC. But in general, there was 1 or 2 players that were not available, that didn't avail themselves as free agents. So at the end of the day, though, Tinus, to answer you, yes, there has been consideration about the free agents. But at the end of the day, we also needed to make decisions, you know, based on what we felt was our best chance going into the World Cup and the guys that have played for this Proteas team.
Thank you very much, Victor. We'll go over to Colin Bryden. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Just to follow up on Tinus's question about the free agents, maybe Graeme Smith can tackle this one. I would like to know precisely how much communication there has been. I know, for instance, that Faf is on record as saying that he is available for the World T20. In fact, he wanted to play this one and the next one. What has been the thinking in the executive there about the free agents?
Colin, I think the point, just to add on what Victor has to say, is that when you're working with free agents, you have to come together. You have to find that balance that works for both the team and the squad, and then also the free agent. I mean, they're obviously attracted to a lot of the leagues and the finances of those leagues, and then the squad has its own requirements and how they build towards a World Cup. And I think you try to find that balance all the time. Unfortunately, I think with Faf in particular, we struggled to find that balance that worked for both parties. And yeah, outside that, there was I think Chris was unavailable, made himself unavailable, and yeah, from there we felt that Imran has had a great run. He's still being successful, but we were very confident in the current crop of spinners that we're developing, and we felt that they deserved the opportunity.
So if I can just follow up quickly, you say Chris Morris is unavailable. Has he been unavailable, since when?
Well, I would say pretty much most of our engagements with Chris and his agent. We've also gone through the CEO of the Titans, and the messages that we've got back is that he's unavailable for international cricket.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin. We'll move over to Ken. Over to you, sir.
Tommy, thanks. It's fine. I will just be repeating a previous question. No worries. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ken. We'll move over to Nathan. Nathan, are you still there? You can go ahead with your question, please.
Graeme, this is Nathan Kokela. You have captained a successful Proteas side in your time. Looking at the T20 since Barcher took over and taking into consideration only the teams he has played against, it's only England that has given them a tough time, but with West Indies and Australia obviously having one over them, stats-wise, does this give you a confidence in going into T20, knowing fully well you have a good record against most of the teams you have faced going into the round robin stage? Then for Temba, can I go with a closer question at the end, or can I go ahead now?
You can go ahead now.
Thank you. And then Temba, eliqela lakho linengxaki ye-consistency, ninayo le nto yowina niphindikiwe. Kwenye ingaba yingxaki le nto xa kufikwa kwi-playoffs xa ni-inconsistent. Nkosi.
Thanks, Nathan. Temba?
Shall I start? Yeah, inkosi ngombuzo wakho. In terms of into yethu yo sebenzise igama le inconsistency, alo gama lesixhosa eso. Kodwa I think kwiqela lethu, I mean, apho khona nifike khona na njengomkhokheli mna, andizukuthi kubana besi inconsistent. Imidlalo esidlaleyo against i-West Indies kwaye ne-Ireland, sezaphumelela kwele midlalo esedlalileyo, aphandle ke mhlawumbi udibanisa umdlalo le we-one day. Into enovumelana nayo ngawe ukubana njengeqela sisadibanisa indlela esifuna ukuwenza ngazo izinto, into njenge-philosophy yethu, njenge-style sethu. Kodwa xa ufika ezositsho kwindebe yehlathi, indebe lehlabathi ayilikho elo xesha yokubana singabi inconsistent. Kubalulekile, kufuneka siqale kakuhle, sisebenzise loo momentum esizayifumana.
Yeah, from my side, I think last season we had many logistical challenges, and as Victor said, it took us a long time to have our full squad available to be able to select from. We targeted that West Indies series, and we're fortunate that everyone got through the COVID challenges and injuries, and we were able to put out our best squads. I think for me, this World Cup is cutthroat. It's two tough groups. You need to start well. Opening game of the World Cup against Australia is an exciting time for our team. I think adapting to conditions, the strategy needs to play well. And also you need to have players in form. So if we've got players in form, you give yourself the best chance to get to the knockout stages, and then anything can happen from there.
Thanks, Graeme and Temba. We'll move to Tisetso. Tisetso, you have the next question.
Yes, thank you very much, Tammy. My question is to the Director of Cricket, Graeme. The Proteas are in turmoil, to be honest, on and off the field. What is your comment on the poor results of the Proteas since you took over, since you and Mark Boucher took over? All things considered, do you have a comment regarding the turmoil that the Proteas is in on and off the field?
Thank you.
Thanks to Tetso, as balanced as ever. My opinion on this thing is that as Director of Cricket, my job is to oversee both men, women, pipeline, high performance, down to grassroots. So it's an extensive job. I think certainly the women have been hugely successful and continue to be successful. And obviously the role is to build them to their World Cup and hopefully the chance for them to be successful. I think on the men's side, there's been many challenges. I think COVID in particular last season created massive issues logistically. As I said, we kitted out 43 players, 33 played, and it was an opportunity to give chances and to, hopefully, expose more talent to international cricket and what's required at international cricket. Our goal was always to knuckle down by the West Indies and to really be a bit more result driven. So hopefully now as we go into the World Cup, we will see those successes. That's what we hope.
Thanks very much, Graeme. We do have a question from Daniel. Daniel, would you like to ask a question? No. All right, we'll move over to Aditya.
Hello, everyone. My question is for Temba. How is your injury progressing, and do you think you will be able to recover by the time the World Cup starts?
Thanks, Randall. Yeah, the injury is progressing. I obviously had the operation on the weekend, and I've already started my therapy sessions. Recovery time, what I've been told, is approximately 4 weeks. So for me, mentally, that's what I'm, working myself around. And if it is 4 weeks, then that gives me ample time to get ready for the World Cup.
Thank you, Temba. I'm going to take the next 4 questions in a batch, and then we can answer it, because I'm looking at time and I'm worried that we're slightly behind. Let me give the chance to Sbusiso. Sbusiso, can you go ahead and Zahir immediately after that?
Thanks, Tammy. My questions for Temba, if I could ask in isiXhosa, please. I see CSA has also released statements in isiXhosa, which is great for us Xhosa speakers. Mkhokheli, mandivuyisane nawe okokuqala ngendoba ukhethiwe ukhokhela elimbu lizawusimela kwindebe yehlabathi. Kodwa ke asinokwazi ulibala ba niphethe umthwalo omkhulu njengoba nisiya phaya phesha kwamazwe. Isimo seteam ne-feeling yabadlali ijani njengoba kukhola amagingxigingxi enzekayo kwikhilikithi. Adiyawazi amaninzi awadibenanga nani, kodwa nina niziva njani? Niziva uba ningakwazi uperforma phayana njengokuba kusenzeka ezinye izinto ezisecaleni ezingaphandle apha kwikhilikithi, ningakwazi ukuwenza umsebenzi?
Inkosi Busbu, mna njengomntu onyuliweyo uba ndikhokhele eli qela, yinto enkulu kum, yinto endinemincili. Xa sendithetha kwicala leqela lethu ezibabu ibekile, zikhona iingxaki kakade ezikhoyo bezikhe zavela kwikampani yethu enguCricket South Africa. Kodwa ke ezibabe siyazi kudala zikhona izinto and sikwazile ukudlala. asiwinanga ukoko khange siphumelele ukoko, but noko njengeqela sikwazile ufumana indlela ukubana siqhubekeke ngemidlalo yethu. Andiqondi uba ikhona into eziwutshintsha ngehlobo esizoqhuba ngayo. Sizoya phaa kwindebe yehlathi, into thina esizobeka ingqondo yethu kuyo is into kumele basayenza njengeqela enye nenye. Aba bantu abaxhasiweyo, aba bantu abanyuliweyo mabadilishana nezo ngxaki bofuneka bayenze ngelo hlobo. Kodwa thina njengeqela into ebalulekileyo ukubana sibeke intloko yethu phantsi siqhubekeke nomsebenzi wethu.
Thank you very much, Temba. We'll move immediately to Zahir. Zahir, your chance, sir.
Hi guys, this is to Graeme and Victor collectively. Graeme, just basically since 2007, South Africa always selected 7 players of color in their 15-man squad. This is again the case today. Is that the number? Is that the target, the official number that has to be in the 15-man squad? And to Victor, just when you look at the squad and quite a few 50-50 selections, how hard was it to actually reach that target on this occasion?
So go first.
Hi, Zahir. Look, I mean, Greg, I mean, you're making an observation there. And look, I mean, we've came up with a squad that we felt that it was well balanced for those conditions. I mean, it happens to be 7 players of color that are there, but we feel that we have all our bases covered. I mean, we have a group of 18 players that we feel that can win us a World Cup. You know, when it comes to color, I know that's always an issue, but we've picked 18 cricketers that should win us a World Cup.
Graeme?
I don't think there's anything more to add. Victor and his selection panel, and I think Victor's answered it well.
I'm asking, is that the official number? Because it's been 7 since 2007. Every ICC tournament.
No policy of that kind was given to Victor and his selection panel.
All right. Thank you very much, Zahir. We'll move over to Fidoz. You can go ahead, ma'am.
I'd just like to ask 2 questions. The one is how far the executive is on hiring an assistant coach and when we can expect such an appointment to be made. And the second one is just about the India tour. Was there any consideration to going back to a kind of more traditional, like around the country type tour, or does this specifically have to be in a bubble just based on, I guess, planning, not knowing what's going to happen around December, or just how was the planning around that done?
Thank you, Fidoz. I think we'll give the first part of the question to Puleti to respond to the issue of the assistant coach, and maybe Graeme, you can come in on the second question.
Thanks, Fidoz. Insofar as the assistant coach is concerned, as I stated previously, I obviously engaged with the team, with the DOC, and basically what we've decided, purely because of the short-term nature and the urgency of the World Cup, there won't specifically be an assistant coach that's appointed. The team will basically be receiving a number of specialist consultants. We'll be going to them with them to the World Cup, you know. But that doesn't mean that we won't be appointing. In the process, in parallel, we'll start that process of identifying who can be the assistant coach. Yeah, but purely for the World Cup, it will be purely specialist assistants who will be assisting the team.
For those, yeah, I mean, we've done a huge amount of scenario planning. COVID has created a lot of stresses. We're also looking at the vaccination levels of the country, and our hope is that that'll, increase, as we get closer to December, Jan. And but we just felt that with the information that we have at hand, the consultation with our medical committee, the planning, the importance of the tour, that managing that tour to the best of our ability in a PSC is the right way forward. Obviously, our goal is to get as much cricket played, safely played, and with the information we have to work on currently, that was the best decision.
Brilliant. Thanks, Graeme and Puleti. I think next is Neil, followed by Percival, and then Telford. We'll start with you, Neil, please.
Question for Victor. I know you would have preferred more games, and the team would have preferred more games, but how did you end up in a situation where you're picking Kesh, who hasn't played a T20 international, and you had George Linder in the team, who appeared to be establishing himself, and then Bjorn? It just seems like you might have got in a bit of a tangle there. How come Maharaj hasn't played before? Well, yeah, if you could talk us through the process.
Yeah, look, Kesh was unfortunately with the timelines that we've had, the selection panel felt that Kesh is our #1 test spinner. He's bowled really well in those conditions, and to have him there was obviously one of the reasons why he's there. I know that George, one thing about selection also, Neil, it's about role clarity. I think I know that with the bowling side of things, George did really well, but he's one of the all-rounders that was picked in the side. Bjorn, I understand that he's also a spinner up front, and that's where the swing had come. And that's why we went with that selection of, unfortunately, George misses out, even though he's one of the reserves. But then we went with those 3 options for the spinning options.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Percival?
No, thank you so much, Tommy. Tom, my question is directed to the CEO and a question to Graeme Smith, if possible. Mr. CEO, can I ask you, and can I kindly request that you be so ambiguous as possible in your answer, sir? Can I ask you, do you, as the CEO, and as part of the executive, the board, and the members' council, does Mark Boucher have the full backing of all of you guys as the leadership in the build-up heading into this big showpiece, especially in the light of this dark cloud hanging over the coach? So, sir, because my fear is, and this is a personal opinion, is that the man sitting on your right-hand side might have to deal with unnecessary questions in the build-up to this World Cup. So can I kindly ask you as Mr. CEO, do Mr. Mark Boucher have the full backing of the board, all the executives, and do you think South Africans will back this team? And to Graeme Smith, can I ask you, Graeme, we haven't heard of you. We've heard a statement from Cricket South Africa so far. Are you, as Director of Cricket, concerned that one of the most talented coaches are now former Mr. Enoch Nkwe is no longer part of our national scientists?
Thanks, Percival. We'll start with Puleti.
Thank you for your question. I think maybe the easiest way for me to answer is the whole team, including the coach, have the full backing of the board. And I would really hope that it does have the backing of South Africa as well, because they are going there to represent us as a country. Yeah, so maybe in simple terms, yes, as we speak, the team, including the coach, do have the backing of us as CSA. And when I say CSA, I'm including all the individuals at CSA, including the board and the members' council. So we basically want the team to do well, and the coach is a very important component of that. So they do have the.
I think from losing Enoch at this stage is disappointing. He's been an integral part of our leadership group. We had a number of engagements in the time to him, deciding that he wanted to walk away. I've got to respect his decision. It's disappointing for us. We see value in Enoch, and I'm sure that he'll come into a very valuable position within South African cricket into the future.
Thank you very much, Graeme and Puleti. I think we'll move on to Telford. Telford, go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Tommy. It's a question for Graeme, and it's around the 50% situation, really. You played when you were playing. You played through a few major retirements yourself. How do you replace, what Faf brings besides the runs and the batting and all that stuff? The gravitas. How do you replace the gravitas of a major player when he's no longer there?
It's extremely disappointing. Tough and disappointing to see players retire. Especially ones that have been a part of our setups for many, many years. As you say, Talbot, there's been a number of them over the years. But from my perspective, I think you've got to weigh up and give the team the best opportunity now. They've been on their journey, building new leaders within the squad. We've identified 2 captains to take the teams forward. They've got to build their own environments now, and hopefully we'll start to see new leaders come to the fore, some new players, building that gravitas, big performances on world stages that we can all be proud of. So yeah, we obviously, very grateful for what Faf produced over the years and his stature within South African cricket. And, having played with him and watched him when I retired, we will remember those fondly. But now it's a new group of people, a new group of players' opportunity to go forward and hopefully stake that new claim and new heroes to be made, hopefully.
Thank you very much, Graeme. I think we have our last question from Chetty. Chetty, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My question's for Temba, and it's a two-part. Obviously bummed that you couldn't be part of the Sri Lanka T20 series because of the injury. But, just looking at the squad that's been announced, obviously this team will play against Sri Lanka in these three T20s. What are you looking for from the boys? And in my second question, what will our approach be to that first T20 encounter against Australia?
Wonderful.
Thanks for the question. Thanks for the question. Yeah, like you said, the T20 series against Sri Lanka starts on Friday, tomorrow. If I'm not correct, I guess just more of the same. We've kind of good performances of late in the T20 format from Ireland, before that from West Indies. So it would be ready to build on that momentum, to build on that confidence. I think individually, for guys, it would be for them to keep executing their roles within the team. Role definition and execution is quite key for us to make sure that we're all doing our part as individuals from the team. I forgot your last question. Yeah.
The second question was just our approach to that first or opening encounter of the World Cup against Australia.
Yeah, so I think, there's still quite a lot of time till then. I think for me personally, for someone who's never been to Dubai, I'll be paying a close attention to the IPL, all the different venues and seeing how they play. And then, based on that, we'll be trying to formulate a tactic, a strategy that we can go against Australia. We obviously know it's going to be a tough encounter, even though, we've had good success against Australia of late. So yeah, I think for me, like I said, the next month will be really to familiarize myself with what those conditions will be calling for, and then to set up tactics around that.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Chetty, and thank you, Temba. Look, I think we've reached the first round of our questions. I do see that we have a couple of follow-up questions. Let me start with Nathan. Nathan, go ahead.
Thank you, Temba. Kapinda bukhe wathi ubufuna uthetha nomuntu wayengusekela kamqeqeshi Enoch. Ke wena kunalo ixesha othetha naye nje ubuyile?
Benditshilo bani ke ndizama ufumana ixesha ethetha nayo. Elo xesha ke lifike ngokukhawuleza. Kuba ke bekhe ndalimala. Ndikwazile udibana naye uformer mqeqeshi uEnoch. Sakwazi ukuthetha. Wandicacisela ke izathu zakhe ukuba yena makahambe. Enye into ebeyithethile ke ukuba yena uzasinika ithuba bana ke kathethe nani njengabantu bemedia, anicacisele ke nive kuye ngqo. And into andicela ukuba mna mandiyihloniphe loo nto. Apha endihleli khona mna ndiya-understanda apha akhoyo uEnoch. And as umntu endimaziyo for ixesha elide, into ebalulekileyo kum ukumxhasa kwesi sigqibo athe wafika kuso. But yeah, as babenditshilo uzalifumana yena ixesha ukuba athethe nani anicacisele kakuhle.
Ngosi, I'm sorry, do you mind repeating that in English as well for the greater community of the media, if you don't mind? Thank you.
Yeah, so I think, when I was in Sri Lanka, I did refer to the fact that I'd like to engage with Enoch and understand his situation a bit better, and the reasons behind him resigning from his position. You know, that time did come sooner than later because obviously of my injury. And I met up with Enoch, and we had a productive conversation, I could say. I understand the situation that he finds himself in. And I think he did ask me to pay respect to the fact that, you know, he'll be finding time to engage with the media, and he'd like to be the person that really paints or gives you guys clarity and reasons behind it all. So I mean, I'd like to respect that. At the end of the day, I'm not the subject of the matter. You know, he's the person involved. So I think, yeah, in due time, you guys will be hearing it from his point of view. But from my side, as someone who's known Enoch, who's enjoyed that player-coach relationship, you know, all I can do is support him in that decision and wish him well, as all of us as teammates have done so.
Thank you very much, Temba. We'll move on to Tisetso.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. I think the answer from Graeme for me was not satisfactory, so I'll try and rephrase it. I mean, Graeme, I mean, you know, you are on social media, you read the news, you know the public sentiment. People are just not happy with the results of the men's national team. I mean, are you happy with the results? And also, depending on your answer, what kind of conversations are you having at your level as director of cricket, purely based on the results? And also, last one for me, to acting CEO or maybe Mark as a representative of the board. I mean, I refer to the concerns raised by Soweto Cricket Club in terms of Coach Mark Boucher. Just want to get an understanding from the board as to how are you dealing with this matter, and will it be part of discussion in your next board meeting? Thank you.
Thank you, Tisa. So maybe let's start with the question to Puleti.
Thank you, Tisetso. We did receive a letter from the Soweto Cricket Club, but we only received it yesterday. So obviously the board hasn't been able to engage on the matter. So, but it will definitely engage on the letter itself, you know. But I think for me, it's quite important that we reiterate that we did say when the SJN process, because it was also linked to the SJN, things that are coming out of the SJN. We did reiterate when this process started that we won't be running commentary while the process is ongoing. You know, we feel that it's proper that we respect the process, we respect the OTO to finalize the investigations and then give that report to the board. And then the board will engage on that report after the SJN process is finalized, you know. So having read the letter from the Soweto Cricket Club, obviously it will be sent to the board so that the board can also engage in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Puleti. Graeme, any thoughts on public sentiment as Tisetso has asked?
So based on obviously results, I think last season we would have loved them to be, I guess, more successful. Behind the scenes, understanding the challenges that the environment faced from a COVID and logistic perspective, you know, I think a balanced viewpoint is important. As mentioned in my previous statement, you know, from the West Indies onwards, we wanted to see, you know, the team show massive improvement, to show, you know, the results on an upward curve. I think that happened in the West Indies. It happened in Ireland. Obviously, the other day in Sri Lanka, it would have been nice if we'd got over the line on a spinning wicket and, you know, won that series. But yeah, so we built into the World Cup. Our goal is to try and get the team ready, to get them mentally ready, to unite them, to get them to play well so that they can have a great World Cup. I think that's all our goals, so.
No, thanks very much, Graeme. Guys, we'll end off with Fidoz. Fidoz has a follow-up question. You can go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to ask Graeme, and maybe even Puleti wants to answer this. You know, the mood around South African cricket in the last few months I wouldn't say has been at the happiest, and we've had a lot of things coming out of the SJN, and also we've spoken to both Temba and Mark Boucher about the pressures facing the team in light of everything that's going on. How are both of you coping, and how optimistic or maybe not optimistic are you feeling about what's to come? Because obviously the SJN process has to continue, and the team have to continue playing, and these two things need to happen at the same time.
Thanks very much, Fidoz. Let's start with Graeme.
Yeah, there's still obviously a process underway, Fidoz, and I guess you've got to run a dual sort of look at it. I think, you know, there's submissions that need to be in by Monday, and then we'll take the OTO's direction on that. From a job perspective, you know, you've got to stay focused. You got involved to achieve and to do well, and to, you know, hopefully, you know, impart your knowledge and your experience onto the system and improve South African cricket. So you've got to, I guess, focus on that, be professional, and do the best that you can.
Thanks, Graeme. Pullet.
Hi, Fidoz. I think, you know, when the SJN process started, we all knew that it was going to be quite a hard process. But I think everyone who loves cricket in South Africa understood that we had to go through it, you know. So ultimately, we knew it was going to be hard, it was going to be uncomfortable, but it's something that we had to do, you know. So all of us, I would hope, are looking forward to the final report from the Ombudsman, so that we can actually really start that process of healing that cricket requires, you know, and take lessons from what has or might have happened in the past, and make sure that it doesn't happen again in the future, you know. So that's why for us it's quite important that we allow the process to unfold. We don't interfere with it, we don't interrupt it, we just allow it to unfold so that we can get a report that can actually be used to make cricket better in South Africa, you know. But you are correct, it's been quite uncomfortable, it's been quite hard for a lot of people, you know, but it is something that had to happen, you know.
Thank you very much, Pullet and Graeme. I think we'll take the very last follow-up question from Zahir. Zahir, you can go ahead.
Thanks, you guys. Just for Pullet, it's about 6 months ago, about a year ago, there was great concern about South African sponsors in terms of cricket. You know, the way the game was managed and it was handled, and so obviously we've got a new board and we're looking forward, but yet there's still all these negative connotations around South African cricket at the moment. How concerned are you as a CEO when it comes to sponsors and when it comes to the brand of Cricket South Africa being trending for the wrong reasons every day?
Thank you very much, Tahir. What to you, Pullet?
Thanks, Tahir. I think it's no secret, we've been through a very difficult time. The last 24 months or so have been probably the hardest of my own career, of my own professional life, even personally, you know. But Tahir, I think you also have to admit that personally, and for a lot of people, we've probably been through the worst, you know. I still am quite hopeful that the worst has really passed. We do have those challenges, you know, but it is getting better, you know. So I am quite confident, and even the engagements we've had with our partners, even potential partners, you know, have been quite positive, you know, because people understand that we have been through a very difficult time, you know, but we are on an upward trajectory, you know. So it is actually quite, I said earlier that I honestly feel that it is an exciting time for CSA. I feel that we've basically have a second chance to actually do better as an organization, you know, not just for us, but also for cricket in South Africa, you know. We've been through the worst, but it is definitely getting better. And I still maintain that despite everything else that is out there, you know, and it's understandable. A lot of people are passionate about the sport, you know, so there'll always be quite a lot of emotions. But compared to where we were probably maybe even 6 months ago to where we are now, I honestly feel that it is actually getting better.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pullet, and thank you, Zahir. And I would like to also thank everyone on the call and everyone who's asked a question. I think we've reached the end of the press conference. What we do is that The media team, firstly, will make sure that the recording of this conference is made available to members of the media who may need to use it, but also if there are any particular one-on-one sessions that are needed or required, please just feel free to engage the media team at CSA, and we'll gladly facilitate those engagements. I think with those words, I'd like to thank everybody and wish you a great afternoon ahead. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tommy. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good afternoon.